Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm bringing you my September wrap-up vlog. So I have decided to do my wrap-up a little bit differently to help me prepare this for you at the end of the month. A lot of times I have difficulty trying to do a wrap-up. The wrap-ups end up being really long, and therefore the editing process is really long, and the rendering process is very long, and it just takes forever. So I thought that I'd try to do my wrap-up a little bit differently and kind of just do little films here and there as I finish books, which will help me in the long run. So this is the start of my wrap-up vlog. It is already Friday, September 17th. So I have finished quite a few things already in the month and was bad about coming to vlog it for you. So I am going to talk about what I have finished up to today. There are 4 books that I will be talking about. The first of which is Bleach Omnibus 4. This contains volumes 10, 11, and 12 by Tite Kubo. This one follows Ichigo Kurosaki, who becomes a substitute Soul Reaper after inheriting powers from a Soul Reaper, Rukia, who comes to try to vanquish Hollow, which is a kind of evil spirit, if you will, that is attacking Ichigo and his family. And so she gets injured. She tells Ichigo, hey, you might be able to help save your family. I will give you some of my powers. He goes, okay, do it. He ends up absorbing a majority of her powers and ends up saving his family. But now we're dealing with the repercussions of that happening, because she should not have done that. And so she is in very big trouble. And Ichigo is trying to save Rukia from the fate that has found her by her giving her powers to Ichigo. So that's a roundabout way of saying that, but in general, that's what this story is about. You know that I have been reading through this story omnibus by omnibus the last few months, and also doing a read a watch along. So after I finish the omnibus, my daughter reads the omnibus, and then we watch the anime episodes that coincide with the events in each omnibus. And so we have already both read this volume and watched the corresponding anime episodes. I do want to read one more of these omnibus before the end of the month, so you'll probably see this title again later in the month. But I really am enjoying the manga. I've never read through the manga before. I've watched the anime before, but I've never read through the manga. And so re-experiencing this series like this has been very great, and I'm looking forward to continuing that. So then I finished Magic Bites, which is the first book in the Kate Daniels series by Ilona Andrews. This particular edition has not only the first book, Magic Bites, in it, but it also has the prequel novella, which is A Questionable Client, in the back. And so I had started this book in July, I believe it was July. It was for a book I heard about through a knitting podcast. It was a prompt from my Rotating Decks TBR game. And I got through about 160 pages before the end of the month, which meant that I had completed my prompt, because I only need to read 100 pages before the end of the month, or DNF it. And I finally was able to pick this one back up because my August reading plans were so full. But I did end up finishing this book. This book follows Kate Daniels, who is, it says right here, a down-on-her-luck mercenary. She finds out that her mentor has been murdered, and so she investigates who had murdered her mentor and why. In this book, there are a lot of different types of shifting creatures in this storyline. There's lots of magic, there are vampires, and I enjoyed this story, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. There were a lot of things in the beginning of this book that were like terms of things that I feel like I should have known because they weren't explained what they were. Some of the things that are mentioned here are explained. Like it tells you this is a this. But there were other terms that were used that were not explained. They were just kind of dropped in there and I'm like, wait, what? And there's no glossary in the back here. It tells you about the factions. There's a little bit of Q&A. There's some information on the characters because this is a special edition of this book. But there's no like glossary of terms, and to be honest, I didn't put in the effort to go and research those things that I didn't know because I feel like it's the author's job to tell you. Like, I mean, this is the first book in a series. They're building this world for you. This is the start of that world. They should have told me what those things were. I don't know. I mean, I read a lot of like magical world type books, but I guess I don't read a lot of urban fantasy, and so I'm not familiar with some of the things that were mentioned, and yeah, that was a bit irritating. The journey towards the like climax of this book wasn't as interesting for me, so I guess that's why I was able to put it down for a month and not go back to this story. Once I finally got to where the heavy investigation started coming in, and we're getting a lot of clues, a lot of suspects are coming up, then the story really pulled me in. I was very interested in what was happening. The fight scenes were amazing, and I am really looking forward to the next one now. That being said, I don't think I will reread the first book in this series. Therefore, my rating for this first book is not as good, but I will definitely be continuing with this series. And then the novella in the back, The Questionable Client, I found very interesting, and it would definitely be something that I would reread. Definitely gave a lot more information on one of the characters that we are introduced to in the first book. And so I'm really looking forward now seeing how everything has now been, set up. We're pretty firm in our world. Now that we're past all of that, seeing what kinds of other things Kate gets into in subsequent installments. I believe this series is like medium size, if not long, but I hear amazing things about it. I'm glad I finally got through this first book, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So after that one, I finished the Book One Cozies Club selection for September, which was A Caterer's Guide to Love and Murder, the first book in the Caterer's Guide to Crime Mystery series by Jessica Thompson. I have already filmed and posted my series first impressions video on that, which will give you my general unspoilery thoughts on that book and let you know if I will be continuing it with this series. And so that is already up on my channel, as well as my chapter by chapter for the Book One Cozies Clubs, because the chapter by chapters are my reading vlogs, which are audio only, that will give you my spoilery candid thoughts as I read through the book. So either one of those are available for you to hear my thoughts on, so definitely go check out either of those if you are interested in what I thought. And then the last thing that I have finished just this morning was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I read this for Mid-Year Mystery Madness, #subgenre September, and this has been a book that has been on my TBR for a very, very long time. It has been one that I feel like the universe has told me, you absolutely have to read it in 2021. I have seen it everywhere, on booktube channels, on mangatube channels, on knitting podcasts. I've seen a trailer for a TV show or a movie. I think Netflix is doing it. Just everywhere. So I'm like, okay, absolutely have to read this book by the end of the year, and I did finally get that done. I did listen to most of this book on audio, just so that you know. But this story follows an unnamed character who is the second Mrs. De Winter. We don't know much about her. We don't know her name. We don't know her exact age. All we know is that she is young. She is so young that it's mentioned quite a few times, that fact, and that how Mr. De Winter is much older than she is. But this one basically follows her whirlwind romance with Max De Winter, and then her making her way to Maberly, which is his estate, where all of the people that work there, people who knew the previous Mrs. De Winter, have such a favorable look on her that the second Mrs. De Winter feels like she is constantly living in the shadow of the previous Mrs. De Winter. Right on the front of this cover, it says, "The unsurpassed modern masterpiece of romantic suspense." Romantic suspense is not a genre that I normally gravitate towards, and so this fit perfectly for subgenre September. It is also tagged as being gothic and a modern classic, and I don't read those subgenres practically ever. And so this also made it even more of a suitable choice for me for Mid-Year Mystery Madness. So while I did get through this book rather quickly because I listened to a majority of it on audio, I didn't find this book to be suspenseful or mysterious. While I did enjoy the journey that this book took me on, it would have gotten a higher rating from me had I not expected a mysterious element from it. I pretty much predicted everything, at least as far as major plot points go, that happened in this book up until the twist that comes in at about the 3/4 mark, I would say. And then after that is introduced, I figured out what happened towards the end. So that was very displeasing to me. If I had gone into this book thinking that it was going to be like this more of like a family drama type of story as opposed to a suspenseful, mysterious type of a story, it would have gotten a better rating for me, to be honest. I thought the narration of this book was very good, though the second Mrs. De Winter definitely got on my nerves quite a bit. Now I know they mentioned, and I had mentioned to you earlier, that she is young, but we don't know her exact age. So I don't know how appropriate, like, the things that I was feeling that she was being, like, you know, whiny and just things that she said just got on my nerves. If I had known what her exact age was, it might not have gotten on my nerves as much, but being that she's at a marriageable age, I kind of put her a little bit older than I think maybe she is. And therefore, in my view, a lot of the things she said, a lot of the things she was thinking, I thought was just like so immature. She was whiny. But like I said, there is a twist about 3/4 into this book. I thought after that point, I didn't have as many of those thoughts about her, but I think that in that section of the book, she's kind of forced to grow up a little fast, which might be the reason why we lose that aspect of her character. I don't think that this book was set up well as far as it to be like this mysterious, suspenseful type of story either. And I'm not going to go into detail about that because if I do, it will probably give away something. And let's just say that I don't enjoy books where it tells me what happens And then the whole rest of the book is telling you how we got to that point. I feel like that's how this book is set up, because we start with the second Mrs. De Winter telling us kind of what happened. I mean, not in great detail, but kind of what happened at the end of this book, and then her remembering her life, like remembering meeting Max, remembering how they fell in love with each other, going to Maberly for the first time, and all of this stuff. And that type of storytelling doesn't ever work very well for me, because then it's like, okay, I've already know how everything ends up. Like, is there anything that's going to be surprising for me in this? And that is exactly what happened. Not to mention with the fact that I figured out, okay, this is going to happen. Oh, yep, that happened. Okay, this is going to happen next. Oh, yep, that happened. Okay, this character, why is she trusting this character? This character's out to get her. Yep, that happened too. And so, it was a bit of a letdown for me. This is definitely not going to be one that I will reread in my lifetime, I don't think. I will still be watching the TV show or movie, whatever it is, because I was interested enough in the story and the journey that it took me on. But I really have to look at it more of a like family drama type of story as opposed to a mysterious, suspenseful story, because that's definitely not what I got out of this. Maybe the show will give me a different feeling, but this book did not. But I did still enjoy what I read of it. I'm looking forward to checking out some more of Daphne du Maurier's work, though. I've heard a lot of other people talk about Jamaica Inn. I don't know what that's about. I remember hearing that people enjoyed it, but I don't seem to remember what that one's about, but that'll probably be one I check out in the future, because I do think the author's writing style was very easy to get into and understand, and the story moved along enough where it kept my interest, even if I was able to predict a lot of what happened. But yeah, I will probably check out more of the author's work in the future. And I did end up enjoying Rebecca, even though it wasn't as enjoyable as I thought. So that wraps up everything I've read to date, and I will be back with you later when I have finished a few more things. So it is a little bit later. I forgot to mention to you about 5 minutes ago that I was going to be participating in the Magical Readathon. So this readathon is being hosted by Book Roast, G, and I had originally thought that I wouldn't be able to participate in this just because I had seen the list of prompts that came out for it and didn't think I'd be able to fit in 6 or 7 books for my TBR. However, I did a little bit more research and heard a little bit more about, other people that are participating in it, and that you only have to fulfill 2 prompts. And so I have actually fulfilled those 2 prompts. So I am going with The Mist of Solitude, which is a standalone, and for that I told you that I had just recently finished Rebecca. This is a standalone. So that is that prompt out of the way. And for the second prompt for the Novice Path, I am going to use Obsidian Falls, which is a thriller or mystery. And for that, I'm going to be using A Caterer's Guide to Love and Murder. So it is a mystery. It's a cozy mystery, but it is a mystery. And I have completed my Novice Path prompts, so I can advance to the April Readathon. And so I have I have talked my daughter into creating me a character design. I am going to be in Iltherian. I believe that's how it's pronounced. It is the vampire that transforms into a crow, or a vampire-like character that turns into a crow, who are mostly underground at where the Great Library is, and that just speaks to me on all types of levels. So yeah, I wanted to jump on here and tell you that I am participating in the Magical Readathon, and I have already completed my 2 prompts. So I am good to go for April. Super excited that I was able to get those in, and that's all I wanted to update you on. So now I will be back with you later. So it is Friday, September 24th, and I'm here to check in with you on the other things that I have read since I checked in with you last. So I have read 4 volumes of manga because our manga club meeting was yesterday. And so I read volume 1 of My Senpai is Annoying by Shiromata. This was a story about an office worker, our young woman here, who finds her senpai annoying. And so I really enjoyed this one. There will be a Monochrome Manga Club series first impression video on all of these that I will be talking to you about today, so I'm not going to say too much about them. So if you want to know my thoughts on these volumes, definitely check out that video, which I will link down in the description box below. But I really enjoyed this one. Will definitely be continuing. I read volume 1 of Dimension W by Yuji Iwahara. This one is a sci-fi about a collector who goes to get illegal coils, like electrical coils, for other people. That's how he makes his living, but he doesn't use any of this technology. He's very old school. And then he finds this robot, who is this character here on the cover, and they're uncovering a bunch of secrets, and eventually we'll learn about Dimension W and how these coils fit into that, but it's not explained in this volume. I fell asleep 3 times during this volume. I thought the concept was interesting, but I don't think I'll be continuing this one in manga form. I will switch over to the anime and hope that that will work better for me. So that's that one. And then we started our series read. So we are reading through Parasite by Hitoshi Iwaaki, and we read volumes 1 and 2. This one follows a parasite invasion, and the parasites go and invade humans most of the time. They basically look like robotic worms, and they invade a human's body, and we really follow this one parasite who didn't manage to take over his host body completely, and we follow both this parasite and his host trying to live together and avoid other parasites who have successfully invaded their host, because those parasites don't find that parasites who have failed to take over their host completely are worth staying alive. So we're also following them, trying to avoid them, and if they're not able to avoid them, then they fight them. We also meet other parasites who failed to take over their host completely and are learning to cohabitate with their host. We also find some parasites who manage to take over non-humans, so like animals, which is interesting. And so I did find this series very interesting. I'll definitely be continuing because it is our series read for a manga club, but I think even if we weren't reading it through for the manga club, I would be continuing anyway because I thought this one was interesting. But like I said, for more of my thoughts on all 4 of these volumes, definitely check out my Monochrome Manga Club series first impressions video on these volumes. I do also let you know what our October selections will be in that one, in case you want to read along with us. So that is everything that I have read since I talked to you last. And we are less than a week away from the end of the month, so the next time I check in with you will probably be the last of what I read in the month of September. So I will talk to you in a bit. Hi everyone, it is Wednesday, September 29th. I had to go out to the office today, so I decided that I would film my last part in my wrap-up vlog for you today instead of waiting until Friday, because Friday is actually October 1st, and that way I can get things, you know, edited and rendered and stuff like that, because it does take a really long time for the rendering part especially. And so yeah, I thought I would just wrap up the last part of my reads now instead of waiting. And so since I talked to you last, I have finished The Lost Mine by Christopher Pike. This story is about a girl who wakes up in the middle of the forest kind of really late at night, and she has no memory, and then she looks over and there is a dead body. Somebody has been stabbed and there's a bloody knife in her hand. So this story follows her trying to figure out what happened, who this dead person is, who could have possibly killed her, because it really looks like she was the one to have done it, but there's no way she could have, even if she can't remember anything in the last few hours and things like that. So this was my second of the 2 round 3 booktube spin selections, so I'm doing pretty good. I think I still have 1 more month to read booktube spin selections, but I did finish this one. I don't remember that this was one that I had read when I was growing up, because the story wasn't familiar to me at all. That being said, I enjoyed this one, but it wasn't my favorite. There were a lot of times in this story where I was thinking, okay, like, why is she doing certain things? Because at one point she'll like blatantly lie to somebody, and then she will turn around and like contradict that lie with somebody else. And I'm sorry, if you're trying to maintain your innocence, you shouldn't be like lying in the first place, or at least keep your lies straight. Like, seriously. Not that you should be lying anyway, but yeah, she was doing things like that. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And yeah, this one wasn't my fave. It does have a step back, so you can see here the dead body, and that actually might not be the dead body. Actually, that might be her passed out on the floor. Not quite sure about that, but this is one of those ones where it's a step back where you can kind of see what's inside, but it is not cut out. There are a few of these Christopher Pike books that have the cutout and the step back, but this is not one of them. But like I said, not one that I remember reading when I was growing up. Not really my fave, but I did enjoy it. So then I moved on to Bleach. This is Omnibus 5, so there are volumes 13, 14, and 15 in this omnibus, and we're again following the substitute Soul Reaper Ichigo Kurosaki as he is trying to save Rukia from her punishment of accidentally giving him all of her powers so that he could save his family. And I am just really enjoying this. I'm still waiting for my daughter to read this one before we do our watch along of the episodes that correspond with this volume, but I really just finished this one the other night, and I am still just really enjoying this one. The series is by Tite Kubo. It is a long one, so I still have quite a bit to go, even in just the first arc of this series, but I'm really enjoying this. And so I'm going to finish up my reads this month with Living Room Matsunaga-san by Keiko Iwashita. This is volume 1, which I have read. This story follows a high school girl. She's about 17 years old. She ends up having to go live at her uncle's boarding house with a bunch of other like older people. They're like in their early 20s to late 20s, I guess. We don't know why. It just says because of reasons. And so she is there living, learning new things, making new friends, and this is going to end up being a age gap romance, I think, because by the end of this volume she already has feelings for our Matsunaga-san here, and there is a 10-year age gap between them. This one's definitely not going to be for everybody because of the age gap, But so far, I'm really enjoying this one. I did definitely laugh out loud during this volume already, so I'm looking forward to lots more laughs and just seeing how these characters grow, how their friendships grow, how our main character, her name is Miko. And it's spelt the way that the raccoon is in Pocahontas, if you're familiar with that. That's kind of the nickname spelling that they gave her, or at least Matsunaga-san gives her. But yeah, I'm enjoying this one. It's pure fluff, pure entertainment for me. And so I did finish this one, really enjoyed it, moved on to volume 2. I am about halfway done with that right now, so I'm definitely going to be finishing this one and volume 3 up by the end of the month. So even though I haven't completely read these, I have a really good feeling that I'm going to really enjoy these 2 volumes just based on the 1.5 volumes I have already read. Definitely I will let you know if I have major issues with these volumes, but as of right now I don't think I will, and I am really enjoying this. This was another one of my BookTube Spin 3rd round selections, so after I finish this, I'll only have one more manga selection for my BookTube Spin round 3. So I think I'm doing pretty good with that. But that will complete everything that I have read for the month of September. It was a little bit of a slower reading month for me. I ended up reading a total of 17 things, I believe, 4 novels and 13 volumes of manga. October is going to be a heavy reading month for me, as I do have several novels lined up for not only my Rotating Decks TBR game, but the Trick-or-Treat-a-thon. By the time you see this, my Trick-or-Treat-a-thon and my Rotating Decks TBR videos have already posted to my channel, so I'll link those down in the description box below in case you're interested in seeing what I will be reading for those. And then mid-month, I will be co-hosting the Haunted 24-hour manga readathon with Justy's Cave and Tony's Manga. Again, I will link my announcement video for that down in the description box below in case you want to join us. A TBR video for that one will go up in the next couple of weeks, and so I foresee a lot of manga being read in the month of October, just purely for the fact of that 24-hour readathon. But yeah, I am pretty happy with all of the reads that I had during the month of September. Let me know down in the comments below if you will be participating in any readathons in the month of October, or how you did reading wise in the month of September. Let me know what your favorite read was, or what your most disappointing read was down in the comments below. I would definitely love to know. And if nothing else, and you would just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a birthday cake emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, because September was my BookTube anniversary month, or BookTube anniversary, and my birthday month. So yeah, it's been great. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.